The Pentagon has summoned the military officials from around the world for a gathering in Virginia. Now, according to the Washington Post, even the top generals and their staff don't know the reason for this meeting. Now, according to reports, the highly unusual directive was sent to virtually all of the military's top commanders worldwide. Now, the directive was issued earlier this week as a government shutdown looms, and the Trump administration had earlier announced plans to undertake a sweeping consolidation of top military commands. There are about 800 generals and admirals spread across the United States and dozens of other countries and time zones. And this unprecedented order applies to all senior officers with the rank of brigadier general or above and their Navy equivalent serving in command positions and their top enlisted advisors. Now, typically, these officers each oversee hundreds or thousands of rank-and-file troops. And the order has come amidst confusion and alarm over the recent changes in the Pentagon. Even those overseeing troops in conflict zones, interestingly, are being pulled away from their command. The move has left the top officers baffled and worried, with some openly questioning the risk of yanking so many of the military leaders off duty at the same time to a certain specific location. Now, Pete Hegseth had earlier directed that the number of general officers be reduced by 20%, firing senior leaders without cause, and also a high-profile order to rebrand the Defense Department as the Department of War. All right, now joining us on the broadcast, we've got Professor James A. Russell, who's the Associate Professor at the Department of National Security Affairs at NPS, where he teaches courses on U.S. foreign policy. Professor Russell, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, this is a pretty baffling order that's been given by the Pentagon. Has it ever happened before that the military leadership of the United States of America has all been asked to congregate in one location at the same time?
No, certainly, Mohammed, not in recent memory that I can recollect. This is the civilian leadership, of course, can be expected to want to meet with its senior military commanders. But most of these meetings these days take place via secure video teleconferences. And the idea of assembling these numbers of senior leaders all at one place at one time, yeah, it strikes me as pretty unusual. Yeah, and I should hasten to add that I have no more insight than anybody else as to the purpose of this meeting.
You know, that was my follow-up question, because it is pretty baffling as to why the defense chief there, the Pentagon chief there, Pete Hegseth, would want all of his defense leadership there. Would you like to speculate as to perhaps what Pete Hegseth has in his mind, or probably maybe even Donald Trump, who would, of course, be the chief of all America's armed forces? Perhaps he may want to have a word with his military leadership.
Right. So just to be clear, I think, in this administration in particular, the cabinet secretaries, Secretary Hegseth, for example, wouldn't be doing something like this, I think it's fair to say, without the direction of the White House. And I think it is clear, obviously, that there are profound civil-military relations in play here that run counter to, or they collide with, the agenda, the political agenda of the Trump administration. We have to remember, of course, that the General Officer Corps, the military leadership of the United States, of course, all the military leadership of the United States swears allegiance to the Constitution. They don't swear allegiance to the president. And of course, this leaves open the possibility, I think it's more than a possibility, that the political leadership looks upon the military leadership as serving a different kind of priority, if you will. And if we look around the rest of the administration, for example, the civilian agencies, the Justice Department, the Department of Human Services, Homeland Security, all of these agencies, essentially the civilians that have been sent into these agencies have been sent there to destroy these agencies. They haven't been sent there to run them. So it's a little bit different in the Defense Department, of course. I think it's open to speculation as to what we can expect to see happen in this. but I think there are going
Right.
to be some very profound civil-military relationship issues that are going to be raised, in which, as we have already seen, the Trump administration is going to exert much more direct control over that senior leadership. And I would expect that they are also going to demand loyalty to the president, not to the Constitution per se. And it's worth also pointing out that military commanders are now being placed in positions of accepting direct orders that are obviously in violation of international law. And I'm speaking here directly about the attacks on the vessels in the Caribbean, in which boats have been destroyed without any reference to international law and due process. So there are a host of civil-military relations that I think are at front center in the "Make America Great" Trump agenda.
Right.
But I think, but I would say, Mohammed, relative to your earlier point, that loyalty to the president is going to be at or near the top of the agenda. We have to also remember that this is a president that has ordered American troops into the streets of American cities to quote unquote police disorder. And the administration expects that these orders are going to be carried out regardless of any qualms about clashes with the Constitution. And it has also to be said, I'll state the obvious here, that while constitutional specialists have said the president has no such authority under the Constitution, the reality is that the Supreme Court, which is stuffed full of conservative Republicans, some of which have been appointed by Trump, have essentially ceded this authority, extra constitutional authority, to the president. And the Republican majority in Congress shows no interest in reining him in. And the Supreme Court certainly shows no interest in reining him in.
Professor Russell, I think you've raised a number of very important points as to what is at stake, because this is an unprecedented summoning of the military leadership of the United States of America. Trump, of course, will say that as the president, he is the supreme commander of all American armed forces. It is going to be very, very interesting to see as to what actually transpires once the military leadership assembles in Virginia there. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Russell, for joining us with that perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you.